Nanny Plum is one of the most powerful and mischievous characters in Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom. She's witty, sarcastic, and always ready with a spell. But what if we took her actions seriously? Not just as silly cartoon antics, but as real-world crimes. What if Nanny Plum was actually charged and put on trial? First, let's look at her most obvious crimes. Nanny Plum regularly uses magic recklessly. She turns people into frogs, rabbits, and various objects, usually without consent. In the real world, that would count as assault, maybe even unlawful imprisonment. Imagine going about your day and suddenly you're a frog because Nanny Plum wanted to make a point. That's not a harmless joke. That's a serious violation of personal rights. Next, property damage. Nanny Plum's spells often go wrong, causing chaos in the kingdom, exploding cauldrons, oversized animals, and magical mishaps that nearly destroy houses. If we translated that into legal terms, she'd be facing charges of vandalism, negligence, and maybe even endangerment. The courts don't look kindly on people who cause widespread destruction, even if it's accidental. Then there's her attitude toward the rules. Nanny Plum is notorious for bending or outright ignoring magical laws. She often disregards King and Queen Thistle's authority and takes matters into her own hands. In legal terms, that could be seen as contempt of authority or even dereliction of duty, since she's technically in a position of responsibility as both a nanny and a royal servant. Now, if we're being extra dramatic, Nanny Plum could even face kidnapping charges. Remember how often she transports children with magic, sometimes without full permission? In a real courtroom, magically whisking kids away without parental consent would be seen as abduction. Sure, she means no harm, but the law is based on actions, not intentions. So, what would her trial look like? The prosecution would argue that Nanny Plum is a menace, a repeat offender who endangers everyone in the kingdom. They'd stack up charges of magical assault, reckless endangerment, property damage, and possible kidnapping. The defense, of course, would argue that Nanny Plum's actions are always for the greater good. She's not malicious, just careless. They'd point out that her magic often saves the day, that she works under royal command, and that most of the victims laugh it off once the spells are undone. They might even argue magical law is different from human law, and that she should be judged by fairy standards, not ours. If we imagine a guilty verdict, the punishments could be severe: a ban on using magic, time in the dungeons of the little castle, or even exile from the kingdom. That would completely change the story. No more Nanny Plum guiding Ben and Holly, no sarcastic remarks, no spells to fix problems. The show would lose one of its funniest and most important characters. But if she's acquitted, it sets a precedent that in the Little Kingdom, magic and chaos are just part of daily life. Maybe the jury would decide that her crimes aren't crimes at all, just the side effects of having a powerful fairy around. So, what would happen if Nanny Plum was charged? She'd probably spend some time under heavy questioning, give sarcastic answers to the judge, and somehow charm her way out of most punishments. After all, without Nanny Plum's chaos, the Little Kingdom wouldn't be nearly as entertaining. At the end of the day, Nanny Plum may be guilty of a lot of things, but the biggest crime would be imagining the show without her.